The title of my sermon this morning is Spiritual Trail Markers, drawn from the verse in the Gospel of Matthew that reads, "She said, 'Yes, Lord, yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table.'" Each true journey of faith has its spiritual trail markers. We may forget to notice them because the path we travel is well worn. We may ignore them because the journey seems familiar. We may miss them because we're preoccupied with obstacles along the way or vistas that make us pause. But God places these markers to guide us nonetheless. Such signage has a purpose. Trailblazers point the way, keeping us on track. They prevent us from getting lost. They give us confidence that we're headed in the correct direction. They alert us to danger and save us time. Without these markers, we could find our way to the spiritual peaks, but it would be much more difficult. We would have to do it entirely by ourselves. Our minds would be preoccupied with the direction we're headed, and we wouldn't be able to enjoy the journey quite as much. Signs relieve pressure and give hope. My family and I enjoy hiking during the pandemic. This summer we have made getting out into the woods, hills, and mountains a priority. We have our favorite local trails. For those, we no longer need to see the yellow, white, or blue splashes on nearby trees. When we head out on a new trail, or start a familiar one, but at the opposite end, we dutifully check the markers. I was on a new trail this year in North Carolina. It was a long path that steadily rose for 3 miles to over 4,000 feet. Near the top, I came upon an unusual sign, one I hadn't seen before. It was supposed to read, "Danger, Cliff," but someone had rubbed out 2 letters. Can you guess which ones? The sign instead read, "Dang Cliff." I was glad for the warning because the trail soon opened out onto a rock face. The sight of the Appalachian Mountains was magnificent, but the flat, open area quickly and abruptly ended, giving way to a 500-foot drop. As a family, we stay on the marked trails and find no need to blaze our own paths lest we fall off a cliff or find ourselves stumbling into a gully. When the Canaanite woman approached Jesus, she was following signs too. She was not Jewish, but a member of their adversaries. The antipathy between the Jews and the Canaanites was centuries old. She was a pagan as well. She likely worshiped the gods of the Egyptians, the Assyrians, and other local deities like Baal. A woman speaking to foreign men was not customary in either culture. However, she could sense Jesus' power and authority. She could see the signs pointing her to help. She boldly kept after Jesus and the disciples. She wouldn't be ignored. She wasn't going away. Jesus tried to dismiss her, but in her pleading, she knelt before him and made her case. Still, Jesus did not want to help her. He forced her to make her case again. When he said to her that he came only for the people of the house of Israel, she said, "Yes, Lord." yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table. Jesus immediately recognized her faith and immediately rid the demon from her daughter. The impact of Jesus' action was twofold. He was the farthest north he would travel. From there, he would return to Galilee and then make his final trip to Jerusalem. He was in Gentile territory. Matthew didn't say why Jesus had traveled beyond the land of Israel. Jesus didn't mention it either, but the implication was clear. He cast out a demon in a Canaanite, showing his power extended beyond Israel. The child was a pagan, and thus his action demonstrated his divine spiritual authority, controlled gods and demons beyond those of the God of Israel. He recognized the woman's faith, showing his ability to see anyone's faith, not just a Jewish one. In one simple act, a momentary miracle, Jesus opened the way for Gentiles to worship God Almighty. Christianity would not be another Jewish sect, but a religion all could profess. The second impact was to the spiritual life. His interaction with the Canaanite woman shows the necessity of trail markers. She sensed Jesus' divinity. She twice called him Lord. It's the same term the Canaanites used to identify the god Baal. She remained persistent, even when both the disciples and Jesus didn't respond to her request, and her interpretation included crumbs falling off the master's table. And that helped open the door to faith for the Gentiles. Her faith, wisdom, and persistence allowed her daughter to be freed from the demon. For us, the trail forged and cut by the Canaanite woman has created a well-worn path. The spiritual life is blazed with signs of wisdom, faith, and persistence. Our challenge is to keep watch for the signs of God. In these extraordinary days, can anything else really happen this year? We may feel our hope ebbing. The isolation and distancing may have dried up our resilience. We may feel like the Canaanite woman who, before she found Jesus, was filled with doubt and desperation. We may even feel that evil and apathy toward the human condition may win out. However, it is in times like these that keeping on the spiritual trail of faith and keeping on the lookout for signs of God matters most. Humans tend to ignore God in the good times and demand God to act in bad times. Such is our relationship with the divine. But Jesus was not a magician, meant for our entertainment. When Jesus cast out the demon, he did so with a purpose. He did not merely comfort a desperate parent. He created a pathway for God. He began to mark out the trail of the Christian life. As you seek signs of God in your life and in the life of this parish, I invite you to walk with care. Be on the lookout for those moments of grace and peace that indicate God's presence. Expect wonder and awe to fill your souls, knowing that God has shown you signs of his mercy. Be filled with hope that God's blessings will continue to be evident here at this lovely church on a quiet country road. As you welcome your new priest, do so in anticipation that new mighty acts of God are close at hand, showing you the way to a more profound Christian life.